I mean, especially in Olney, there was a Nazi Bund that met, in that area, in Olney. There was a lot of German Americans there.
Right. But no, I wasn't allowed. My father laid no. Can't.
I didn't even have to ask my parents. I just knew.
So why weren't they put in camps like the Japanese?
You mean the Nazis?
The Germans here, yes.
Well, this was before the war. But this was when they were doing
You
things.
did say 40, okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about Nazi
Right.
Germany. Was 39, was the year 1930, all that.
I understand how numbers work, yes. But then, after, when the war started, why weren't those Germans that were in the U.S. put in camps like the Japanese were?
I know. I don't know why.
Because you couldn't tell the difference?
We were
I mean, it's not as if they put the
we
Chinese
were a
in.
progressive country. Maybe we didn't do that sort of thing.
We put Japan, the Japanese
Yes,
in
you
camp.
did.
But not the Chinese. And don't tell me because the Chinese are on our side. I know that. But this is for their protection, the Japanese protection. Because people will see them and say, they're Japanese, let's do something. Let's throw rocks
Well,
at them.
that's what they told them.
Yeah, but wouldn't they say the Chinese and think they're Japanese and throw rocks at them?
Why are you asking me, Michael, when it's obvious I don't know the answer?
Well, you're the only one who was around for the war. The only one left.
I was busy going to the Saturday night dances,
Yeah.
the officers' club. That's all I knew about the war.
With Norman Axe.
And Norman Axe, he went in the war. How do you remember him? He was so ugly.
Oh, God.
I got the ugliest guys.
And then the one you married wasn't much better looking.
Well,
Oh, your mother said beautiful, you look like your father.
but that's all right. The one I went steady with, it was good looking, and that was one of the reasons I went with him. And he saw me in the City Hall Plaza on New Year's Eve. I was with the ugly one. And you know what? He was jealous. He was jealous. He didn't, he didn't realize that I even know his name, Norman Axe. Maybe you've heard of him.
Norman Axe, what you said was the ugly one. From New York and New Jersey, somewhere up there?
No, he was from Philadelphia area.
Well, yeah, but he was staying up in...
I think he had family here. Franklin Axe was, I think, his brother.
What was he doing in Newark, New Jersey?
Maybe he was stationed there.
Well, it was...
No, I don't think he was in the army.
It was before Pearl Harbor.
I'm talking high school.
He was in Newark,
That's
New
when-
Jersey.
Look him up.
You had to look him up. You had to, go to the train, or he went to the train station and someone was going to pick him up and meet you?
I wasn't going to pick him up. I didn't drive.
No, not
I'd
you
have to
pick
go
him
on my
up.
bicycle.
Someone was going to pick him up and they were going to meet, and you
Who was going to?
were going to meet him. You and another couple.
I lived a very sheltered life at that point.
So he
They
just...
wouldn't have allowed me. It was enough I went in town with him on a New Year's Eve
His...
by bus. Or no, it was by train. Or
You
something.
knew him for quite a few months, like from the summer through the spring, and he's writing you letters like in March of '42, and you're already with Dad. So I'm thinking you're playing the field at that time and just didn't tell Dad. But that's just my guess.
I dated a few people after I met your father, but not that many. Until Pearl Harbor Day when we went steady.
On Pearl Harbor
We were
Day?
engaged to be engaged. That's
Yeah.
That's my story.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry.
You stick to it.
And then I had this fellow that asked me out a couple of times. His name is Bucky, but Bucky. And obviously, it was,
His God-given name.
His name was
and
Bucky.
he was a wonderful jitterbug, because I also got the worst answers. Dad, there's my mother. Who's that child?
That looks like Lauren, right? Is that Lauren?
It could be.
Risa.
That wasn't
It's
Risa.
probably Risa.
Oh God, I don't want that picture.
I don't think so. I don't
See,
think your mother.
That's a slug. You don't want to look at that.
Was my mother alive when Risa was born? I think so.
When Risa, what's wrong with you? Keith was around.
Brett was just born.
Brett was born.
Brett
So
was
that's
like a
Lauren.
couple-
See,
months
already
old.
I've
Brett was a couple months old when your mom died.
Brett, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when she was at your house before you went to Florida. I took Brett over to.
There was a wedding, and you had Brett in a coach, wasn't it?
that was
Keith.
Reese's wedding, and Reese did not want Keith at the wedding.
I can tell you that now.
She gave me such grief at her wedding, Risa.
Good.
All right, I understand.
Always make sure the
Besides
camera's
that,
rolling.
I can
camera's
understand how she didn't want maybe him at the ceremony, but she seemed to want him at all. Of course, it was different once Lauren was born. But then she gave me a hard time about wearing my pink sash. It was a nightmare. She was a broadzilla. She was a broadzilla. Was that what that show is? Broadzilla?
rolling. You're a smart girl. What is this?
A camera?
Very good.
What does that have to do? What are you talking about?
What has that got to do with it?
You're recording this? It is a video camera, right?
Yes, I
You're
know.
recording that?
Yes,
Can you delete that?
I can.
There was the truth.
I don't remember
won't, but I
Risa's
can.
being that bad, but I remember she didn't want the boy. She didn't want your Keith there.
But
And
I
your
know
mother-
when Lauren
and
was
your
born,
mother
she
had
wanted
him.
Lauren
I
and
still
everything. It was the
remember.
same with my
Your mother,
niece.
wait a minute, your mother was in the
Yeah,
hallway. The
but
hallway.
it was different when Lauren was born. But that's the same with my niece, my cousin Ellie. She didn't want kids for anything, but then all of a sudden, when she had her daughter, it
It's
was
like
different.
with Jamie.
Claire.
She
Claire.
brings the kids all over. Not everybody wants them. And she
So,
gets
but it's different
hurt.
when the other. But
She gets hurt.
And Libby didn't want anybody.
and Libby was the worst of all. She really, I think he shouldn't have even gone to the wedding. The way she treated Keith, Jamie. I mean, the way Jamie
Jamie's-
treated Keith with her wedding
Here we
was
go.
shameful.
That's
He
terrible.
probably should have told her that he wasn't even going to come. But
Jamie
There-
regards her mother as a saint. She absolutely worships and idolizes her and mourns her to this day.
And so does Arnold. And I was just trying to tell him all the things that Libby did, and he's getting upset.
look, the relationship as a mother is different between other relationships. Just because she might have, I mean, I'm sure Libby was a good mother. I mean, she loved Jamie. She did everything for Jamie, so.
I know what my mother was like. Horrible.
I'm saying
Oh.
it's different. I could see the way Jamie saw her is different because she was a good mother.
But she couldn't
everything.
see the other things? She'd blind everything else?
Maybe not.
'Cause I was-
my sister's the same way with my mother. My mother was a wonderful person, but my sister doesn't think my mother could do anything wrong. And she took anything my mother said was right. She didn't think anything my mother said was gospel.
She thought everything she said was gospel.
Yeah, I mean, and I loved my mother. I thought my mother was a wonderful person, but I didn't agree with everything she said or did.
I thought she was a wonderful person.
She was,
from
but there were
those
still certain
singers.
things I disagreed
The
with.
way
Except
they made
selfish.
The
Just
food was
selfish.
so delicious.
Oh, that does
she
make her a
and she
wonderful
was very-
person.
Very calm with it.
No,
She couldn't have been.
We're the most
But-
shallow
so that's
people.
what I'm saying. But I mean, I could see how Jamie might feel that way because she probably was a great mother. I'm not wouldn't debate
Well,
that fact.
Jamie never gave up her teaching and all that, and she would put, keep the kids in the car. Her mother couldn't do a thing for the children. She could barely walk and feed,
I know.
but she could sit in the car and the kids could be in the car.
Right.
And Jamie only
Yeah.
remembers that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as I said, I'm not saying that she wasn't a good mother.
No,
There's a totally different relationship between that and,
That would be a grandmother at that point.
So. But it's tough. It's
well,
tough.
I thought my mother was the best. She never said no. Never.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, maybe you didn't have to say no. I didn't have to say no much to Brett because he hardly did anything I had to say no to. But with certain kids, no, it's the truth. But it's not necessarily being a good parent not to ever say no. There are times when you're
Also, the second, there's a commercial. The first child, you go out of the house.
Oh,
you
no,
got
it's true.
All those things.
You're more relaxed with the
in
second.
the coach for the child.
Yeah.
And the second one, you shut the door. You almost forget the kid is there.
Yeah, it's true. It is different. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. But weddings can be crazy.
You really don't know how you be.
But it's.
But I guess I was a nervous mother. There's no doubt about it.
So was I.
And Leon's hours.
It's
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday he worked late.
yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
Obviously, I wasn't prepared emotionally.
I don't think anybody's prepared. I really don't.
Well, there's some children are easier than others. Some children, you put them down to sleep and they go right to sleep.
Some children, there's definitely some are easier,
Yeah.
but I don't think anybody's prepared. You think you are, or at least I don't know anybody who's prepared. You think you are, but it's still so different once the baby's actually there. You know? It's just different. Much harder, I think, than
Yeah, I mean, I call Jamie on the phone or she calls me 11 o'clock, the kids are still up. That's exhausting.
yeah, it is.
I mean, like Steve goes to work
Is
early.
that on a school night?
What?
On a school night?
On a
Well,
school
who's
night.
who's going to school?
How do they get up for
Anytime.
school?
Even they, well, it's a little better now that the older one goes to school. She's asleep by 11 or 10:30,
That's pretty late.
but that's late also.
I mean,
But-
Keith always,
but-
I always had a hard time
But they
with
could
Keith,
be up,
but-
like 1, 2 in the morning. Well, they used to take them all over to the shows that they were in and different things. They didn't get home until 11 o'clock.
I don't know how they did
and
that
then
on
they
a
had
school
Then they
night.
took their snack, and that made them wide awake.
See, before they go to school, it's different. But once they're in school, I don't know how they can do that so late.
I know.
I don't know. I keep saying that when my sister, when we talk about Justin, because they do the same thing. They're always out. Gym balls are always out every night doing bowling, whatever. So they don't get home that early. But I said, what's going to happen when he starts school? They're not going to be able to do that.
I know.
Linda will babysit. They'll be fine.
They just don't want to. It's Jim. Susie doesn't bowl that much, but Jim, I don't know what kind of I don't understand the whole thing, but he's bowling all the time. And sometimes they don't get home till late. But I said it's one thing because he's not in school yet. But once they start school, I don't know how you would work that.
And I was thinking that it would get easier for your sister once he starts school, but I guess it won't be.
It'll never
Because
be
she's got to
easier.
worry about him going to bed.
So I don't know.
Oh, shit, never mind.
It's the one thing if I did over again, I realize you have to be, with certain kids, you have to be more strict about bedtime. Otherwise, it's not good for them or anybody.
No, they're cranky and they don't do well in
Right.
school.
But it's
And
hard
they
with
don't-
certain
and
kids.
other kids don't accept them either. They're just a little different.
So it's hard with certain kids that don't want to go to sleep. But I think it's going to be tough if the kids stay up till 11. They're not going to want to get up for school. In some ways, it's harder when they start school.
Yeah. See, I thought it was easier, but it's harder because you got to keep. First of all, you got to take them today. I mean, with there were still school buses, but then you gotta wait in the corner, they gotta be there before.
Yeah, plus, as I said, you have to know, the school bus for elementary school was right on the corner here. The thing is, they'd be in the schoolyard for like 40 minutes.
Oh.
That's too young for a first grader to be in the schoolyard. And the kids get the kids get unruly because it's too much time. So I mean, that was one reason I delayed going back to work, because I felt I had to take them to school. It just
Those days were
and pick
different.
them up.
Those days were different. A working mother was unusual. It was really unusual.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
that unusual.
And picking them up too, because I didn't trust this. I mean, they didn't. It's just
Sure, it's
all,
Called like 1990.
yeah,
And not
I
only
just didn't
that,
trust them.
Georgia,
Well, they did have.
was
I always
gonna
tell you the
say-
story about Keith when he was in first grade,
Yeah,
and I would pick him up. Brett was a baby, and he was in first grade, but I would wait at the bottom of the step. And one day I see Keith coming out. The kid behind him kicks him, knocks him down, starts like kicking him. I'm running up. There's an aide there, but she can't see. Running up, screaming, yelling like a maniac. I was so upset. I got the kid and I started yelling at him, and I took him to the aide. I said, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't believe this kid did. Blah, blah. She said, well, yeah, she'll take care of it. I was so upset. And after that, I actually walked up and waited at the door. Because it was, as I said, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't have
I
believed it.
know.
And these were white kids at the time.
I mean, he could have been killed.
yeah.
He could have gotten full on.
I could understand a black kid, but a white kid,
There was a
really?
white kid. I know. I knew you would think maybe his.
You just ruin everything I record.
That long ago, but I'll never forget it because I was so upset.
I know.
I just couldn't believe it. So that's the trouble with school. You know, they don't have, you can only have so much supervision. But they get, it's a kind of kid like that, they just
they
get,
pick on the younger ones that are more vulnerable, because they know they can.
and yet Keith was picked on more than Brett. And look how Brett was
I know.
half the size of Keith. He was so small and skinny when he was in elementary school. And nobody picked on him.
Because he was in a smarter class. Better
He
classes.
picked on others.
And Keith wasn't
He
because
was
he
a
didn't
smart
know his months.
And he blames me for that. I'm sure he says that's my fault.
Yeah, he always blames you. Not teach him the months.
I was going to say the kids always blame the mother.
Usually they're right.
You do what you can.
Did you teach me months?
Huh?
Did you teach me my months?
Your months.
The months of the
Month.
year.
But no. Maybe. I doubt it.
I don't know if you taught me anything.
But you
You
try.
weren't exactly
You
the
can do
best
the best you
student
can.
in the
Right, because so it is me.
You know, Michael, I think I might have to cut your hair,
Good.
because I may
Okay.
not see
do
you
it.
again
Do
after
it Monday.
Friday.
Do it Tuesday when I'm not here.
Okay.
Maybe tomorrow. Today's.
Or Tuesday. When she's not here.
Oh. All right, Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want my hair cut for Christmas.
All you want for Christmas is a nice haircut.
Yes.
I'd like a nice haircut.
God.
I'll be glad to cut your hair.
You'd probably do. The lady that I go to now is really nice. I mean, nobody to me does a good job on my hair. She does as good a job as anybody else, and she's really nice. And
Yeah, you know what? I would have liked you to take me to, but I didn't know that you had a hairdresser.
yeah, I mean, I go to
'Cause I don't
hair
know
cutter,
what
and
I'm
I've
gonna
changed
do
so
with
many
my hair.
times because every time I've one that I get used
This
to,
is my
they leave.
giant phone.
They usually
The
leave.
world's largest phone.
So this one,
It's bigger
and
than my
she-
mother. Look at
It's
that.
just very, I mean, as I said, I don't think any of them do a great job. She does as good a job as any of them. and
Well,
she's
this is a
really
very
nice.
bad week to go to the beauty shop. Everybody's there.
But I've
I
gone to
didn't
the.
feel like going to mine. One of my reasons was I didn't feel like being Lady Bountiful and giving them money, extra money, although I'm going to have to when I do go there.
Yeah.
But I don't need that Christmas rush, and he'll be busy for Christmas.
Oh yeah, this week I went Before
No.
Christmas is the worst. Yeah, between Christmas and New Year's is not a good time to go.
No.
But I mean, I just have never, and I've gone to more expensive shops, and they never do great. It's just like nobody seems to be able to get my hair right, the way I want it.
Where do you go?
Just a hair cuttery over here next to ShopRite.
Oh,
Because I figure nobody does a great job. I might as well go to the cheapest.
well, that's right.
And she does. She does as good a job as when I paid twice as much. They didn't do a great job, so I did
They
$300.
probably get those people right out of beauty school.
But this lady that I go to,
No,
I know
I
has
don't
been
mean
there a
her.
while. But I went to
or
that,
McDonald's, they get
what
them.
was his name? Barry something? Oh, what's the name of that shop that was supposed to be so good? And I can't think of it. It's on
Barry's.
Bustleton Avenue now. He used to be on Grant.
On Bustleton Avenue.
He is now. He used to be on Grant. Barry something. That he had a great the shop had a great reputation. I can't think of the name of it. It's
I
still
go
there.
in Great Norman D is where I go.
I think I went there too. I think I've been to all of them. Seriously. And to me, they're all lousy. So that's why I decided I might as well go to the cheapest. You know, if I
And
had loved
Elaine
my
goes in
hair, it'd
town.
be different. But
Because Barbara likes in town. They have their the traffic is unbearable, Elaine said. But Barbara likes the place. Now, I don't think Barbara's hair looks that extra special.
well, Barbara's hair always looks pretty though.
Yeah, it does. But she likes that place.
She goes in
And
town,
they-
you say?
In town. They drive, and now it's expensive too. Not only is the beauty shop expensive, which I
The
don't know.
traveling
expenses.
Because it's right in town.
Right.
But the parking is expensive.
Yeah. Because
And
I
then the
used
travel,
once or
she
twice.
said, Elaine said that the traffic is terrible.
Yeah.
But so she was going to go around the neighborhood. If there's a beauty shop right in her building,
Right.
I'm sure there is.
Right.
Elaine has a way with her hair. She could fix it up if the girl just did an ordinary job.
Right.
Elaine has nice hair. But she decided that she'd rather go with Barbara.
Well, some of them. I went to somebody in town years ago that my aunt used to went to when I was like 10 or 11. What was his name? Mr. Guy. Mr. Guy. It looked gorgeous when he did it. The trouble is, it wasn't the kind of hairstyle that I could keep. It looked great when I went out of the shop, but after that, the next day, it looked, you know.
Well, he
It's
does my
all
hair. I
teased.
don't know. He doesn't exactly tease it, but he stands it on end and he blows it, and then I put an extra,
Right.
whatever, spray.
So,
So
A
I know
hairstyle
I
isn't
can
any good
feel-
if you can't
But I
keep
was
it.
going to ask Michael if I didn't figure that you'd be around somehow or other. I was going to ask Michael before the holiday to take me, and then I decided not to.
yeah. You don't want to, as I said, you don't want to go right before a holiday.
So it's really going to be pretty bad.
Really. Right after New Year's, it'll be empty. The week after New Year's,
It'll be,
it'll be empty.
Then who's going to cut your hair?
Who was ever there?
And then it's not
No
empty.
customers. The beauticians will be there.
Oh,
no
I get it.
customers.
I get it.
There'll still be, yeah.
I
There'll
really
still
do
be-
because
Still be
everybody wants
employees.
it for the holiday, and then they won't be
And then
back
in
for them.
February, it's raining.
Maybe even a beautician.
So,
But today, the young girls want their hair just so. Although they can blow it themselves, some of them, but...
yeah, I don't,
And then there was this old woman with such wrinkly skin. She was so ugly. And she had blonde hair. Thin blonde hair, but she
Natural?
was
Natural.
curling up. And he made her, no, I don't think it was thin. I think it was nice blonde hair. But she had this old wrinkled face. It didn't go with the hair. And I looked at her, and she just looked terrible. And then the worst of it was that after that, she must have had a mustache. He was bleaching it. She put, and the thing is, she was so ugly, but she did have this beauty.
How ugly was she?
But what? Ugly. And I was, you see, you sat there, the mirror was here, but there were spaces, and I sat there facing her.
That's a shame.
I was like horrified.
Oh, God.
Don't worry, she's dead now.
No, it was just a little while ago.
I still think she's
Oh,
dead.
God.
Blonde hair.
That's funny. Well, I'm gonna have some oatmeal.
That's a one-way street.
You
You want
can't
some?
have oatmeal. You gotta have leftovers.
You're going down the
I want
one-way
my
street.
oatmeal.
No, I'm sorry.
Yesterday, the turkey was okay, but I'll tell you, last night I had such indigestion.
I know, I've been lucky.
So I don't
I
know
ate it
anymore.
off
I'm
even
just,
now.
Tell us more.
I had indigestion, I did.
I
I'm going to
really
take a little
did.
more
Do you want some
soda.
turkey or some meat or something?
I never want to see it again.
I mean, now that I said I didn't, but would you like
No,
some?
I'll have dinner time.
Because
But you probably
I
won't
have
be
the
eating
flounder. I
anything
forgot
at
it. I
dinner
have the
time.
flounder.
But I'm
Does
so-
anybody want anything? But I'm having my oatmeal.